14:35 that afternoon, police finally found him. He didn't run, he didn't argue, he didn't resist. Andrea Cardinale, 20 years old, wandered the streets until officers approached and placed him under arrest. He listened as his rights were read aloud, nodded that he understood, and allowed himself to be taken into custody, a moment that would likely mark the end of his freedom. By then, it was already too late. Earlier that day, inside a converted pub in Stockton-on-Tees, a bedroom door stood unlocked. Inside, two young people lay dead, Antonino Nino Calabro and his girlfriend Francesca Deo. Both had suffered catastrophic head injuries. Blood stained the room. Fuel soaked parts of the flat, though no fire had been set. The discovery was made by Andrea's father. He had travelled from Italy to England hoping to convince his son to come home. When he arrived at the house just before lunchtime, the door wasn't locked. Andrea wasn't there, but Nino and Francesca were lifeless. Unable to speak English, the father contacted authorities in Rome. Within hours, Interpol and Cleveland police were alerted. The street was sealed off as forensic teams moved in. By mid-afternoon, Andrea Cardinale was in custody. Nino and Francesca hadn't known they were in danger. Just hours before their deaths, they had shared a quiet moment together, a kiss, an ordinary gesture between two people in love. Francesca had recently arrived from Italy to spend the Christmas holidays with Nino. She had posted about how deeply in love she was. Their future seemed open, hopeful. Neither of them knew someone they trusted was unravelling. Nino and Andrea had known each other for years. Both were Italian, both attended the same croupier school, and both moved to England in 2019 chasing opportunity. They were recruited by the Grosvenor Casino in Stockton and lived together in a converted pub with other staff. To outsiders, they were close. Nino was outgoing, popular, the life of the party. Andrea was quieter, socially awkward, but intelligent and reflective. Nino called him his brother. Behind the scenes, cracks were forming. Friends later described Andrea as isolated and increasingly jealous. Nino had friends, confidence, a girlfriend. Andrea struggled to connect. His family sent parcels of Italian food because he disliked English meals. He drifted inward. Still, for a time, life appeared stable. In 2021, Andrea transferred to a casino branch in Luton, hoping it would lead to work in London's elite Mayfair casinos. Instead, things went badly. He struggled with colleagues, felt excluded, and eventually left. He moved to Scotland and took a job as a pipe layer. Work he hated. His behaviour concerned employers, and he was dismissed for odd conduct and poor work ethic. Andrea later claimed people were talking about him behind his back. By the time he returned to Stockton and moved back in with Nino, his mental health had deteriorated severely. In November 2022, Andrea returned to Sicily with Nino. There, his condition alarmed his family. He became obsessed with his childhood, blaming his mother for violence inflicted by his father. He spoke of being watched. He claimed to see the evil eye. He admitted hearing voices. He sought treatment for depression, but failed to attend follow-up appointments. Despite his family's pleas to stay in Italy, Andrea returned to England. His mother even purchased a plane ticket for him to come back for Christmas. He ignored it. Instead, he returned to the converted pub, where Nino and Francesca were living together. As Christmas approached, Andrea's mental state collapsed further. He developed an obsession with witchcraft. He became convinced that Nino and Francesca had cast a spell on him, one he believed caused his teeth to fall out and left him impotent. In his mind, the only way to break the curse was to kill them. He stopped replying to messages, he cut contact with friends, and he began preparing. Andrea ordered a sledgehammer. In the early hours of December 21st, driven by paranoia, voices and extreme sleep deprivation, Andrea put his plan into motion. He pulled on a black balaclava. He armed himself with a knife and the sledgehammer. He walked into Nino's unlocked bedroom. Nino lay asleep. Andrea stood beside the bed, raised the sledgehammer above his head, and brought it down with devastating force onto Nino's skull. Francesca woke instantly, screaming, and ran. Andrea struck Nino again, then he chased her. He CCTV footage later showed Andrea pursuing Francesca up the stairs, knife in hand. She reached the top but couldn't escape. He caught her, restrained her, retrieved the sledgehammer and dragged her back down toward the basement. There, he struck her head twice, then he stabbed her repeatedly in the chest. Afterward, Andrea returned to Nino's body and inflicted additional stab wounds. The post-mortem confirmed both victims died from massive head injuries causing skull fractures and brain bleeding. Each would have lost consciousness quickly. After the killings, Andrea left the house. CCTV captured him purchasing diesel and a lighter. He returned to the flat and poured fuel over the bedroom and other areas, but he didn't set the fire. Later, he told police he couldn't bring himself to do it. When investigators examined Andrea's phone, they found disturbing searches: dynamite, deadly weapons, voodoo, and how to remove the evil eye. Andrea later told police he killed Nino and Francesca because he believed they were cursing him. He claimed the voices made him do it.
What'd they call you, mate?
Andrea.
Andrea?
Yes.
The time's 14:35. At this moment in time, you're under arrest on suspicion of murder. You don't have to say anything, but it may harm your defence if you don't mention when questioned something which you later rely in court. Anything you do say may be given evidence. Do you understand that?
Andrea denied murder but pleaded guilty to 2 counts of manslaughter by reason of diminished responsibility. The court heard that multiple psychiatric experts agreed he had been suffering from severe, unrecognized paranoid schizophrenia. His psychosis was acute and overwhelming at the time of the killings. The judge ruled that prison was inappropriate. Andrea Cardinale was detained under a hospital order, without time limit, in a secure psychiatric facility. Statements from the victims' families were read in court. Francesca's mother spoke of sleepless nights, unbearable grief, and visiting her daughter's grave, hoping for answers that will never come. Nino's father described a family shattered by loss, evenings haunted by memories of video calls that will never happen again, and a heartbreak that never eases. The court acknowledged that Andrea had once been a man of good character, a fact that only deepened the tragedy.